I'm just doing an update on this 14 Ford Fusion. I got the engine in it, and I got the coolant burped out and everything like that. But what I wanted to talk about was how to get this out easy. Which there's nothing going to be completely, trouble-free. Getting something in and out of a vehicle, especially a newer vehicle. But with these cars right here, they recommend you pull the engine and transmission both when you take the engine out. But there's plenty of room in this car to actually take it out the top. I mean, plenty. The biggest or the hardest thing to do is all this shit down here in the front of the motor. There's a heater hose that goes here. It goes all the way back there, and the alternator and stuff's all down here. But the hardest thing is to get all that stuff off in the front, and you do that by taking this intake manifold off, which you can see. Intake manifold's off this 56,000 mile motor. It's relatively easy, but there's a couple of things that's kind of crazy. Like there's one right here in the middle, which is kind of a pain in the ass to get back in, and then there's one here at the bottom. But they're relatively easy to get to. That one right there, this one, and there's two here. Right there's one, and then there's one down here. Where's that? Let me turn this light on. Right there it is. Oh, damn it, light. Right there. But there's 7 bolts on that, and this right here, you just pinch this and it comes off. And once you take the the starter off, you can get these off here. And the alternator is easy to get off. The AC compressor is easy to get off. And another thing, you don't have to discharge your AC if you do it my way. This right here, you unbolt it from here, and the actual AC compressor is, these lines are so flexible that you can actually put it all the way over here on the transmission. But I didn't do that initially because I had it tied up down here where it wouldn't fall. But when I put the motor back in, it was in the way, so I put it over here on the transmission. But the biggest thing is that, and then there's a bracket that holds the CV shaft to the engine. You can take that off without taking the CVC shaft out. The only downside of that, there's one bolt that's underneath the that's blocked by the CV shaft, that it'll come out once you take the motor out, but you have to shorten it. You have to shorten the bolt by maybe that much, not much at all, just barely. But once you shorten the bolt, you can actually bolt it back up to the engine without actually taking the CVC shaft out, so you won't lose any transmission fluid. But another thing that you make sure you do is prop your transmission up. That's the one thing that I had an issue with, because I thought the mounts would be strong enough to hold it, but it did dip, and I did lose a little bit of fluid because the shaft actually came out slightly. It came out slightly, so I lost a little bit of transmission fluid. But if you actually keep the transmission jacked up, you won't have that issue. So that's really the only things you got to watch out for on this. Honestly, other than that, it's pretty straightforward. But there is one more thing that I have to mention, because if you try to put it in with these hooks, there's 2 hooks on these newer motors. On this 14 engine, there's no hooks. But if you try to get this engine in on those hooks, you will fail. I actually had to use my strap here. That's another thing you need. You have to get a strap like this. because you can actually adjust the way the motor sits by this. But you got to put each one of these in these dowels down, or these standoffs down here. They're the same thread as the transmission bolts on this car. I actually have a Ford Escort that I borrowed the bolts from, but you put them on these bosses down here and here in the back. There's bosses down there at the very bottom, but you put it right almost in the center, and you put them a little bit like staggered, like kind of like one here and then one there, you know, kind of like a little, but they're right in the center. But with this right here, and the reason why it is, you can see, like right now it's level. You can see this motor is tilted backwards. And unless you got that strap right there, you are not going to get that sucker in there. I tried for about an hour just using the standard hooks. And I was using just a regular chain, which is right there now. But I gave up on that after an hour, and I got my strap, and I got it in within minutes. I got it in after that, and it took me a few minutes to get the thing in there, get the bolts lined up, and get the transmission bolt to the engine. It literally took me like 5 minutes after I put this strap on there and set it down in the car to get the thing lined up. It was absolutely butter. I have actually never had an engine go in so easy as this one when I use that strap right there. It's amazing. But I had to give somebody a heads up because these are a little bit tricky. I mean, they're not bad. It's like anything else. You gotta take a bunch of shit apart. But just insane that the flywheel broke. But with 56,000 miles, the motor's great. But oh well, that's all I wanted to say. And oh yeah, there was actually, you know what? I take that back. Here's one more thing I want to say. This exhaust right here, there is actually a bracket that bolts the exhaust manifold to, and you have to take that bracket out, but other than that, you take the alternator and stuff off, you have tons of room. I mean, you have tons of room. You will have no issues getting this in and out from the top. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully this helps someone. If it does, like and subscribe. Cherish your family. Have a nice evening, and goodbye.